This is a 2026 GMC Yukon Denali Ultimate. And if you're in the market, do not wait for the 2027, and I'll explain why here in a second. I borrowed this SUV from Jerry Seiner, GMC here in South Jordan, Utah, and this is actually Frank's SUV. Just bought it for his wife. Congratulations. Love the downpour, and I do like these wheels. I think it just hits in this color. I think I did one back in 2025, and man, it's just a killer setup. Let's go ahead and see how much this thing's gonna cost you, and then I'll take you guys around it. Now at the very top is the description. Downpour metallic and woodland mahogany is the interior. This does have the 3-liter diesel, and then this is going to be a short listing of the standard features. Be sure to pause to see more. Now base price is $106,900, and the only options on this one is the floor liners, and then the downpour is an additional $495. The diesel actually gives you a deduction of $1,500, destination swing $795, with a total price of $109,285, and this is why you're going to get the diesel. Now there is going to be a lot of changes for the 2027 model year, but nothing is groundbreaking. Just some new colors, the wheel design for the 22 for the Ultimate are changing, and they're doing some packaging shifting. So if you're looking to build one of these, it could be a little bit easier probably for 2027, but there's a lot of good inventory still out there. So I highly recommend, if you are in the market, to probably go that way. Now, Coastal Dune is going to be a new color for 2027. Just do some research. I think it's going to be available across the board. So if you want that sand color, for sure, it's like a lighter color sand, that will be available. So that might be worth waiting for some people. Elevation's getting a new package. Also, there's gonna be like new 20-inch wheel designs, and then there's gonna be a new 22-inch wheel design for the Denali Ultimate. So apart from that, just packaging is gonna change across the board. Super Cruise comes standard for the regular Denali, so that's noteworthy, and that might be worth waiting for. But as you know, that is going to increase the price. So if you're not someone that's advocaatly looking for that package, I would just go ahead and buy a current Denali so you can save the money on that. Now, when you get an Ultimate, there's not a lot of options on this because it comes pretty well decked out. Premium lighting comes standard across the board, but when you get the Denali Ultimate, they do give you this black surround with the Vader chrome. And I like the design of this GMC badge. If you get a little bit closer, see that? Hopefully you guys can see. A little bit of satin finishing, more black accents here, more Vader chrome. So there's a lot of detail that goes on the front end of this thing. Right on the side, there is a parking sensor. Adaptive cruise control is a part of this package. And let's take a quick peek at this suspension. This does have 4-corner air suspension, double wishbone out front, and there's a fabric liner, which is easy to clean out. And here's a quick look at the tires, which are the Bridgestone lenses. That's a tire they've been using for a while. 285/40, 24-inch wheel. These are basically 33s. That's the tire size, 11.2 inches wide. And I would say if I were to replace these tires in the future, I would probably go a little bit more sidewall. That way I could protect these wheels, because I would not want to damage these beautiful wheels. And I would probably stick with the 24s. I'm just saying, they just look pretty killer. They don't look that big on here either. And it doesn't sacrifice the ride because it has the air suspension. You have the power deployable running boards with the perimeter lighting down there. Here's that Ultimate badge. And let's take a moment and marvel at this downpour. That color, it hits. It looks good on sunny days, cloudy days. You guys see here, puddle lights, cameras, black accent with that downpour. Now, I think Frank said he's going to do a black roof. So if he does do it, I'll be sure to probably do a follow-up video on this. Smart key system on the front and rear doors. More of the Vader chrome down below. And let's go ahead and hop up here. On the roof rails, you have a satin finish. There's your twin panel. Here's where we're gonna fill up at. You have your DEF and your diesel. Now here's a quick recommendation. If you are someone that's not used to filling up a diesel, you could have the dealership do it for you. So be sure to ask Frank about that if you live in the area. Because if you put DEF in your diesel tank, that could be potentially a $15,000 to $20,000 repair bill, and you don't want to have to deal with that. That's why I always recommend, if you're not used to it, have the dealership fill up for your DEF. They can do that because they have that on hand here. They do hide the windshield wiper and the hitch, so you have a really clean rear end. You guys see that sensor? Did I point this out yet? Again, those side sensors are good for going in really tight spaces. There's 2 camera views here, and they have a spray to clean them off. I like that they still offer this. And this is why you get the XL. You're gonna get that longer wheelbase, which is gonna help with the ride, and you get that additional space just out back here. You're not getting it anywhere else on the interior. So you get more cargo space behind that third row. And of course, no one's shocked. You have the power third row seat. You can drop down the second row, 120 volt power plug. And there is a little bit of storage below the floor, so you get additional storage down here. And they do give you a Type-C USB with a cup holder. And I like how they give you the black headliner. Not a lot of fabric material back here. I know that Frank was kind of looking to get an Escalade, but he decided to go with this one at the last hour since he works here. Yeah, here's a nice side view in the shade of that color. See how dark it is? Looks good. When they refreshed the Yukon, they did give it this LZO 3-liter inline 6 Duramax. By the way, it actually sounds like a diesel, which I like. And they did a lot of upgrades to this engine to make it a lot more reliable, and I would say more robust because it has more horsepower and torque. So for example, it has a new steel piston design. Compression was actually increased to 15.2 to 1, has thicker cylinder head, gasket design, new fuel injector, so it's through Denso, and Denso is a really good provider of parts. So I have a Denso fuel pump injectors on my 6.6 liter Duramax, and so far so good. I just highly recommend running an additive for your fuel, just because you don't have as much lubricity. Thicker cylinder, block inserts, revised turbocharger. I mean, it goes on and on. I mean, there's so many different things that they've done to this engine. And now it puts out 305 horsepower, 495 pound-feet of torque. All that power does go through a 10-speed transmission. And it does get pretty good fuel economy. Now, I don't recommend these engines, obviously, if you're doing a lot of city driving. So, yeah, I would probably consider getting the 6.2 liter. But if you do a lot of highway driving, that's a really good option for that. And I would say if your kids have to be picked up from school and you're waiting in line for an hour, yeah, just something to consider. I would probably steer away from the diesel, just my opinion. You guys see right there, it takes a 0W20 oil. Be sure to check out my website. I do offer Lorenzo oil, which has TS2 guard, which is basically tungsten in the oil. And we also have an oil bypass that will help give you additional filtration for the oil, which will prolong the life of this engine. And we have oil analysis, so you can check that. Let's check out the interior. Now, hopefully you guys can see where I'm at. I'm not all the way to the end here. Let's see if I can make a full turn here. Wow. That is incredible. That is, wow. The turning radius on this thing is insane. And I will add, this thing is very nimble for a full-size SUV. So I highly recommend, if you do live in a city, yeah, obviously parking this thing ain't as easy, but all the camera systems, actually I'll show it to you real quickly here so that way you guys can see it. But if you need the backup, for example, they give you all the backup blinds. And if you need to see on the sides or the front, you can see where the tires are. So if you need to park it, right, and you don't really know if you're completely in the lines, this will actually show you both sides of how well you're parked in. So you can see, I have to look up, I'm so sorry, I'm not looking down, but you guys see right there, I'm really close on this line here. And so yeah, it just helps to make this big beast easy to park and maneuver in tight spots. So yeah, let's go ahead and check out this beautiful woodland interior now. Thoughts on the interior? I like something a little different every once in a while, and so this works for me. I do prefer the Alpine Umber that it had in the past, although they might have named it something different, by the way. But look at the overall design of the seat, the stitch patterns. It's just really well executed. These are 16-way. You guys see it's perforated. You can adjust the bowstring and lumbar up and down. Also, how many speakers does this thing have again? Probably 18. I think that's what it was. But yeah, I think that's a little lightweight for an SUV, just my opinion. I've seen them have over 20 speakers, but the sound system here is really good. By the way, too, you do have a top massage function. Obviously, you guys would know this has all the power functions. I would like to see seat memories on both sides at this price point. Just saying, I could be picky at $110,000. And out back, no rear shades. I can be picky. I would like to see that on a $110,000 SUV. You can get that on the Grand Wagoneers that now cost a little bit less, just saying. And you have these large 16.8 screens. Also a screen down below to adjust like the heated seats for these captain's chairs. And these liners are worth every penny. Great comfort in that third row. Let's go ahead and jump over to the driver's seat. The wood trimming here is porous, and you can feel that. Piano black with some satin finishes here. More of that big wood trimming. It says Ultimate on the side of this storage. Here's your glove box, soft open. Storage down there, more leather, leather, leather. 16-way seats too, by the way. And look at that. Well executed interior. I like the covers too. Some people don't. There's a 16 point something screen. I think it's like 16.8. Insane. You have a camera for that rearview mirror. Also, there's your vanity. Has a warm white. And one last look at that roof. You can see that twin panel. Now this screen is very easy to use. It only has this button here, so you can do full screen navigation, and they have just multiple screens here that you can flip through. And let's go ahead and go for a quick drive. You guys know the Super Cruise on the GM products is the best. I don't think no one can really compete with them. Well, obviously Tesla's pretty good too. But yeah, this thing will change lanes for you while you're on the highway. You can drive hands-free, and it just takes out all the fatigue when you're driving. So a lot of great features on this thing. I think they've done a really good job overall of pointing this. Has heads-up display, so a lot of safety features, a lot of ways to keep your eyes on the road. And I do like the overall screen design in here too. Some people don't love it. Some people prefer the Tahoe Suburban variant, and I understand that too, but it's like a tablet, right? And if you go back to home, for example, let's see if I can get that screen to come back on. Driving through that garage, it's thinking it's nighttime, but yeah, you guys see, you can swipe up and down. The climate control does stay illuminated, has ventilated seats. Obviously it's going to have all those features. I don't have to really point that out when you're spending $110,000. But Frank did not opt us to have night vision. That's the only option that he didn't get, is $3,000. And I don't know if it's really worth it too. I think that it's only going to show up on a little tiny part of this screen here. So yeah, I don't know if it's worth it. And you guys see on the side here, this is how you control your air suspension. You would just push this button and swipe this, but if you don't push the air suspension button, it does show you your drive modes on the screen here. This does have self-parking too, by the way. And this is how you turn on your camera system quickly. And then there's an X here to turn it off as well. Wireless charger, USBs, and most of you guys know by now, you can slide this back. And it does have hidden storage there. And if you want to keep it back, this does slide forward if you're a little bit shorter. So a lot of great features on this. You can drop down the seats too from this chair. I'm not gonna go for a long drive here. I did reset the fuel mileage, but there's really no reason to. But you guys can see here, I'm gonna turn on the turn signal here, but watch what happens when I do that. A lot of SUVs now are starting to incorporate this, and that's really nice because you can kind of get a good side view to make sure there's no cars there. So like I said, there's a lot of safety built into these things today. Like, it's almost impossible to like curb your wheels. Like, if you're curbing your wheels in 2026, you're just a terrible driver. I'm just being honest with you. You just gotta start paying attention, because there's so much features on here that help you with that. Now I'm gonna try to use the Super Cruise, but we're not going that far. I don't want to put a bunch of miles on Frank's SUV, so we're just gonna head back to the dealership. But I'm getting 18.4 mpg on 2.8 miles driven. That's insane. The torque down low is really good, and the transmission's smooth. The brakes are a little touchy, but not bad. It's actually a good feel overall. But if I put it into cruise control, I have to hold my camera to the side. I'm gonna put my signal on. Let's see if it. All right, so I think it's actually doing it for me. Now, if it needs to get around a car, it will actually put the signal on and go around cars too. But yeah, overall, it's a good system. I think that theirs is still probably one of the best on the market. Let's check out the numbers on the door. About 20 miles per gallon, and I was just driving in the city, guys. Insane. Now, last thing to do, show you the numbers, as I said. The gross axle weight rating out front's gonna be 3,800 pounds. The rear is 4,200 pounds. Gross vehicle weight rating is 7,700 pounds, and the wheels are 24 by 9.5. All-in payload capacity for this is 1,174 pounds. This thing can tow up to 7,700 pounds, and they're saying the tongue weight is 770 pounds. 14,500 pound GWR. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. You guys see the tire pressure, 35 out front, 39 in the rear. Be sure to contact Frank if you would like to purchase a Yukon or any GM product. He is one of the sales managers, so he can pretty much get you numbers right then and there and get you on the road. See you guys soon.